Trade up or trade back? That is the question. Landry Locker here. It is the Locker Room. This video brought to you by BetUS. Just got back from the Combine, and the chatter post-Combine is always interesting. A lot of times it's context clues. A lot of times it's interviews. A lot of times mock drafts. They kind of give you a path as to what could potentially happen. I don't think mock drafts are really predictions. I think they're just paths because the draft is unpredictable. It's more of a mind exercise. And one of the top guys this time of the year, and definitely the top guy locally, he's thrown out an interesting scenario for the Texans that I think is interesting in a number of ways. And I kind of want to counter it with the opposite approach and talk about that. Let's start first with the factors that come into making a move for the Texans with where they sit at number 25. It's not the deepest wide receiver draft. You can make a case. You can make a strong case. I've made a case that the wide receiver need is their biggest need heading into this draft. I know the offensive line isn't great, but with where they sit in most years, if you're sitting at 25, there's a chance that you're 100% going to get a top end receiver or have the opportunity to do it. You still have the opportunity. It's just not as clear right now because of where the wide receivers are going and where they appear to be kind of lining up. So you have to factor that in when it comes to moving up or moving back. The other thing is, do the Texans need more picks? We've talked about the salary cap freedom that comes with a quarterback on a rookie contract, and they've thrown away money. Not thrown away, they've thrown around money, some good ways, some bad ways. But now the importance of drafting guys and getting them on rookie contracts is really what matters most as we approach the final year of CJ Stroud being on his rookie deal. Right now, the Texans have 6 picks. The only pick they don't have a 6th round pick at the moment. So do they need more picks? If they do, then perhaps the opportunity to trade back is their ideal scenario. And I kind of want to touch on that for a second, because the one thing that we know about the draft and the one thing we know is quarterbacks will make you do some crazy things. We've seen it very closely here. The Texans traded up for Deshaun Watson the same year that the Chiefs traded up for Patrick Mahomes. Teams have traded multiple drafts for quarterbacks. And on the back end of the first round, if a team is not willing to take a quarterback near the top of the draft, a lot of times they're willing to trade up to the first round in order to get the quarterback. In NFL history, there have been 2 scenarios where teams have traded up to pick 25 to draft a quarterback. 2005, the Jason Campbell trade with Washington, and then 2010, Tim Tebow. 2 different scenarios, but 2 teams that were willing to trade up. If the Texans feel they need more picks, if they feel they can't get the impact at wide receiver or offensive line where they're at 25, that may be a scenario. And the draft dialogue right now around Shedeur Sanders, many people feel that he's falling. We never know. A lot of times there's that talk, and a lot of times it's a smokescreen, but some people feel he's falling, and some people feel that Jackson Dart is emerging as perhaps QB2 behind Cam Ward. If that is the case, there could be opportunities for teams to trade up to 25 to where the Texans could kind of be sitting on a gold mine, because teams are usually willing to trade more in order to get a quarterback. So if the Texans don't love anyone at 25, they could trade back and maybe have more ammunition on day 2. And day 2 last year is where they got arguably the best rookie corner in the class in Kamari Lassiter. And they got Blake Fisher, who they feel is a future right tackle for them. Not necessarily an immediate need on paper last year, but they kind of made a chess move, which that theme could continue as we get to the counter of this. But the Jackson Dart situation, the Shedeur Sanders situation, maybe you want to be a little closer to 20 to be able to make that move, but the Texans could be sitting on a gold mine if they're not in love with anyone and 25 comes around and Jackson Dart's there. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks. If we just look at the draft order right now, there's going to be some teams that aren't necessarily going to take a quarterback early in the draft, but you look at the second round, the Browns for sure going to take quarterback. Maybe they want to trade up for Dart. Texans and Browns have done business before. The Giants, there's talk that they might go veteran and then young guy. Maybe they'd be willing to trade back up. Who knows if the Raiders are going to take a quarterback? And then you have the Saints, you have the Jets, the Colts. I don't know if they want to do a division on division trade, but there's a lot of possibilities with teams that have early second round picks that may be willing and wanting to trade up to 25, where the Texans can trade back and get more picks. So that would be the factor to trading back. Could be a dream scenario if none of the guys on the top of your board are there, which is often the case at 25 overall. So that's trade back. Trading up is a scenario that Lance Zierlein of the NFL Network threw out, and he's the man go-to guy when it comes to the draft this time of the year. And he threw out a trade scenario that I think is not just a checker move, but it's also a chess move. And it involves if you don't think wide receiver is the most glaring need, you probably think it's offensive line. And that's basically like flipping a coin. But he has a scenario where the Texans do business with a team they're very familiar with doing business on day one, the Arizona Cardinals. And he has the Texans trading up to pick 16 to draft Kelvin Banks Jr. Out of the University of Texas. His analysis is, quote, the Texans are officially in win now mode as they trade up to grab a player who can improve protection at guard in year one before eventually bouncing out to take over at the tackle spot. Again, this is just kind of a path, but I think this is interesting because what this would allow you to do is it would allow you to improve at guard. And there's been talk, Banks has said he's never played guard, but he's had a lot of teams ask him if he would be willing to. He said, of course, had a decent combine, played some really good tackle at Texas. But what this would do, this would be a checker and chess move where you maybe start him at guard initially, and then you kind of have an escape plan with Laramie Tunsil. If Kelvin Banks can develop into a really good left tackle that you draft this year, and Blake Fisher develops into a really good right tackle, then you're going to have tackles on rookie deals for 4 and 2 more years, for 3 and 2 years after CJ Stroud is eligible for that extension. And you're going to have to cut cost in some way, shape, or form. Good teams, as you develop in the draft, they have to get rid of guys. They have to, like the Chiefs have to get rid of good players every single year. The Ravens have to get rid of good players every single year. The Bills, they had to get rid of damn near half their roster last year. So this could be kind of a Tunsil escape plan, and it could put you it could put you in position to where you immediately have a guard. Now, a lot of people are freaking out. Why would you want to get rid of Laramie Tunsil? You probably don't. But if you do think this guy can be a really, really good left tackle and in the immediate help at guard, and Blake Fisher can develop at right tackle, it might give you more financial freedom. And who knows? Some people might want to trade up to get Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren in this mock draft goes after that. So whether it's Tyler Warren, maybe you think he can have the biggest impact. Whether you like one of these receivers, I think Matthew Golden's kind of played his way up to being maybe even WR1. There's a lot of scenarios. Maybe they just stay put and make the pick. But for the sake of this discussion, the question is trade up or trade back. That is the question. Which is the best scenario for the Texans? We also got to factor in, if you are trading up, you already have 6 picks. That's going to be trimmed even more. Are the Texans in any position to where they can say F them picks, or do they need as many young guys as possible? Me personally, I'm more of a trade back guy. If you can get whatever the ransom would be for either someone trading up for Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders, sign me up for that. I am a hashtag trade back type of guy. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this video. The casino is popping. You can bet on the combine. You can bet on free agency. It's really, really fun. Of course, hoops. We got March Madness coming up. Use promo code YouTube150 and check out the casino as well. I've had a lot of fun playing online, blackjack, all the casino games. They're going off. Shout out to BetUS for making this offseason even more entertaining than it is. And we're a week away from free agency. Trade back. That's my vote. What's yours? What say you? Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for coming through.